Sometimes, a GM's decision while shepherding the story can cause unintended changes to an encounter. GMs will need to think on their feet, and they won't always make the best choices, but people will still usually have fun, and you don't need to be perfect. Today, we'll look at an example from my campaign where I tried a little too hard to discourage the characters from going to one encounter, while not thinking enough about what should happen if they still choose to do so. We'll also see darkness rules and some simple role play through combat actions along the way. The encounter in question is from the early portion of the Rusthenge adventure. You can encounter this anytime while you're in level 1 or early in your level 2 journey. This is your spoiler warning. On a small island in the Bay of Iron Harbor, there stands the eponymous Rusthenge. Rusthenge can be reached by land twice a day during low tide, or by rowboat at other times. The book lists the low tide as 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. I forgot that in the moment and changed it to 11 a.m. and p.m. in an attempt to gently steer the party away from investigating Rusthenge early, pushing the next daylight low tide until after another inciting event. Alas, the party decided a nighttime scouting mission would be perfect. So now we have a severe 2 encounter to run at level 1 in darkness. The book gives scaling for reducing it to a severe 1 by adding the weak template to the Scythengot and removing 2 of the initiates. My party had 3 party members with low light vision and 1 with dark vision. I told them it wasn't full moon, so they would need a light source for the low light people, or they could proceed slowly, led by the orc with dark vision. The party made their way to Rusthenge, and they began to sneak up on the inhabitants. Some poor stealth rolls later, they knew they were loud, but it didn't seem like they'd been noticed yet. They spent some time trying to identify what was going on, and while they got some information on the odd creature, they couldn't tell what was happening. As the initiates neared, and Dagron failed to stealth closer, it was now time for initiative. Dagron would of course use his very poor stealth roll as his initiative. The scaling for the level 1 version stated that the Scythengot was lethargic, so I decided the initiates had to haul it around on a leash, which was taking up one of their hands as a result. And I had forgotten, until this moment again, that there was no light here, and these humans needed light. On the fly, I decided to add a small aura of dim light around the Scythengot. I hadn't wanted torches, since that might seem too observable from the mainland, and less spooky lights at a distance feel that they had been talking about. We're now in a situation where the PCs can generally see the opponents when they are near the Scythengot, but not the terrain in the way. The humans can't see the PCs, while the Scythengot can. In round 1, up first is one of the initiates, who drops the leash of the Scythengot, kind of ordering it to move forward, not like a minion command, but just a roleplay one action, kind of getting it ready for battle. The initiate then moves slowly toward the noise, needing to move half speed as the darkness makes all terrain difficult for him. Not seeing anything after a move, he retreats back into the circle of light around the Scythengot. This might make him a target, but it also is a believable thing that you would want to be with light. You want to see what you're doing. Vanarel the Ranger carefully makes his way through the darkness at half speed and hunts prey on the Scythengot to prepare for next turn. Desi, the party cleric, buffs his crossbow with runic weapon and scores a hit on the creature, doing a good chunk of damage. Libiel, the witch, uses Figment to try to make the guards think there are more intruders arriving from the sides. Now, Figment, should rules as written, only enable creating a diversion with this spell, which effectively would help the caster become hidden. However, this felt creative and unlikely to become a common exploit. The Scythengot then strode away, leaving the initiates behind in darkness, arriving at Vanarel with no problems in the darkness itself as it has dark vision, bites him, and then tries to scare him with one of its special abilities. As always, both GMs and PCs should remember to use debuffing abilities like this before they strike. The second initiate threw a dagger at the noise, wasting an action and the dagger, before scurrying to catch up to the Scythengot and get back into the circle of light. Daegron, the fighter with dark vision, strode confidently up to the Scythengot and landed a critical hit, killing it, thanks to the earlier damage done by Desi. He tried to grab one of the adjacent initiates and failed. As we enter round 2, one of the initiates strides twice, half speed while still in darkness, makes his way into the aura of dim light, and makes one strike against Daegron, who is now concealed to him. He passes the concealment check, but misses the attack roll. Vanarel the Ranger needs to hunt prey again with the death of the Scythengot, so he strides up, hunts prey on one of the initiates, and uses Twin Takedown to finish off one of the initiates. Desi casts light as we go into cleanup, allowing everyone to move more freely. Liviel continues to use Figment to distract the one remaining combatant, this time trying to make him off guard to Daegron. Honestly, this was probably a touch too much for Figment, especially now that we have a well-lit area. But in the moment, it felt good, and I knew the fight would be over soon. Daegron then lands another hit, ending the combat. The main lesson here was if you're trying to make one option less enticing to your players, make sure you still think through the ramifications. I resisted using torches, probably unnecessarily on the initiates. However, I could have added dim glows on each of Rusthenge's spikes, maybe removing them as the Scythengot does its cycle and gets close. This would have been more interesting tactically, as the combat could naturally spread out more, and might fit more with some of the background narrative of spooky lights at Rusthenge. However, I did like how the humans wanted to ensure they stayed in the light and reacted to Figment. I felt that added a fair bit of character to the encounter.